Hey there everyone, we're doing something new today, and that is the Geek XP's first bit of anime content. Here on the Geek XP, we are trying our best to bring you guys a wide-ranging variety of geeky content, and I couldn't keep myself away from anime content any longer. Animation is an industry I love deeply, and even though I'm a 3D artist slash animator by profession, I really enjoy watching more traditional animation, and believe it or not, this kind of animation has kind of died out in mainstream North America, and most of the West. So if I want to get my traditional animation fix, I look towards the East, and much of the animation that is exploding out of the Japanese anime industry. So for this video, and hopefully ones in the future, I want to cover anime that I have recently watched, and go over if it's worth watching or not. These videos won't be super long and in-depth because I really lack the time to do that, but instead we'll highlight some quick thoughts and clips that I thought stood out as good or bad in the show. Hopefully these videos will cut right to the essentials and let you, the viewer, decide if this anime is worth watching, or as I like to say, worth your time. Alright, so first up we have a show called Made in the Abyss. Is it worth your time? To start, it's worth mentioning that Made in the Abyss is currently locked behind an Amazon paywall, which I won't get into now. However, streaming services are all over the place now, and Anime Strike is what you will need to subscribe to watch this show legally. This might be too high a hurdle for some people, but I would encourage viewers to watch content like this legally so the creators can benefit off your viewership. Anyways, usually when I'm looking for an anime to watch, I usually need something from the show that allows it to stick out from the pack. What makes it appear special? Made in the Abyss immediately stood out to me because of its unique chibi art style. However, this art was not consistent throughout the whole show, but I don't mean that as a negative. Backgrounds and more adult characters were a bit more realistic in their proportions and style, which offered a sharp contrast between the main characters who were chibi and the world they lived in. Personally, I can appreciate the chibi style, but I found that it usually means the show will focus more on light-hearted comedy, which isn't really my cup of tea most of the time. So I was expecting some fun-loving adventure with mild peril, but I was so wrong. So wrong. This may not have been intended, but the chibi style is very deceiving. For this show is super brutal when it wants to be. And you won't know what I'm talking about until you hit the later part of this show. I can't spoil it for you. Seriously, I'm not kidding. There were times during this show that made me visibly cringe from the events taking place on screen. However, I must say that it was handled expertly, and a show hasn't had me so emotionally invested like this in a long time. The two main characters the show revolves around is a fun-loving, insightful girl named Riko and a robot boy who's lost his memory named Reg. Together they must brave the depths of this mysterious abyss to find what was lost. And when I say mysterious, I actually mean terrifying, because this abyss is a real doozy to explore through. Everything in this pit wants to kill humans. Ridiculously dangerous beasts lurk everywhere, and that isn't even the worst part. The abyss itself is cursed. The further down you go, there's some mild curses that afflict you in various ways, such as mild nausea, and you're like, not so bad. That's not bad at all. Mild nausea, that's like, almost throwing up but not throwing up. That's not bad. And then you go down a little further, and then you definitely start vomiting. And then maybe you get down to the deepest part, and that's where you start bleeding out of all of your orifices in your body. And this is what I was telling you guys about. This is when the show gets really brutal. This is what it means to explore in the abyss. So you might be asking yourself at this point, why would these two children go into something like this? Into this horrible abyss? Well, in fact, Riko has a very good reason, and it's quite noble. She has to go find something very precious to her that she's lost, and it's definitely worthwhile. And down there, Reg is with her, and well, Reg is kind of clueless for the most part. However, he's basically a cyborg, so that comes with its own advantages. But most people who dive into the abyss are fascinated by its mystery and treasures to be found as well. Dangerous beasts and the curse are not the only things you have to worry about down there. The ones who go super deep into the abyss on a regular basis are classified by their whistles they wear, and some are stupidly strong and dangerous. With the premise and idea of the show out of the way, I want to spend a little time talking about the animation quality and the music. Something I always point out first about animation for a show, and it's super important to me personally, is whether the animation was consistent in quality throughout the show. It is not uncommon for some shows that are under big deadline constraints to start taking shortcuts that often mean sacrificing quality for quickness. I did not notice any inconsistencies, and I really appreciated that in Made in the Abyss. I could just focus on the story and characters told through a beautifully animated show with fluid and impactful scenes. The music is also standout here, and the composer Kevin Penkin is to be commended for his work. Music really brings flavor to the atmosphere of a show, and the composer really nailed the atmosphere of the Abyss through music. There are also a few vocal tracks voiced by Takeshi Saito and Raj Maimaya, which is really moving and used as key parts of the show to hammer home emotional scenes. One track in particular was a good example of this. However, I cannot pronounce it, so I'll just leave the name here for you guys. And would you look at that, everybody? Here we are at the verdict of the video. So again, I'll ask the question, is Made in the Abyss worth your time? And with a resounding yes, I can say absolutely. Made in the Abyss is worth your time, and gets the stamp of approval. And for those wondering how much I liked it, well, a good indicator is if I will buy the Blu-ray or not. And I can say I might go ahead and buy this one on Blu-ray when it becomes available. Its uniqueness in both plot and art style really make me want to add it to my collection. Some are even saying this might be Anime of the Year, and honestly, I can understand that argument, but the judge is still out on that one. But now that I think about it, I can't really think of another one that's better than it at this point. So let me know if you thought Made in the Abyss was good, or if you have problems with it being Anime of the Year. I would love to hear your thoughts. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want more content like this on the Geek XP. The fall season is just gearing up, and I can't wait to see what is in store for us viewers of anime. And hopefully I'll be here to cover some of it. So until next time everyone, stay geeky and have a good one.